Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a Access Show. Today we're going to be taking a look at everything that's going on with the Epic Games Store, releasing their roadmap of how they're going to improve and add features. It's a real hot topic at the moment. Lots of games are becoming Epic exclusives, much to the displeasure of a lot of irate PC gamers. But I'm going to examine it a little bit. I spoke about this before and I've spoken how I think Steam needs good competition. Lots of you have been saying that the competition needed is via giving discounts on games, not just simply making games exclusive. But we are going to go through the history of Steam and show how long it took for them to get to the position they are, how long it took for some of the changes and the features that they added. Also, why it really is a good thing that we have someone else being more competitive with Steam. There are a whole host of storefronts you can buy games from, whether it's Ubisoft and Uplay, EA Games and the Origin Store, as well as Humble Bundle, GOG and Discord, all offering their own storefronts. There is a lot of misinformation going out there and probably wasn't helped by the fact that Epic really didn't let plans know about what they were really going to be going with the Epic Games Store. Well, they have updated a Trello board now. But before we dive into the good points maybe of Epic Games, let's take a look at some of the bad points. Recently announced today, Epic Games is getting in trouble for going through Steam's registry files when booting up the application. Epic responds to accusations its launcher accesses Steam data without permission. Since this issue came to the forefront, we're going to fix it. Basically paraphrasing, it gets into the registry files and it's meant to track whether or not content creators are got their stats running and stuff like that. It's some leftover code from when they had Fortnite running and they were trying to implement the Fortnite when it first launched. Basically a way that you could import your Steam friends into your Fortnite account on Epic. However, a Redditor that went through all this and brought this all to light got some responses from the Epic, basically management or the people in charge, and the guy that brought it to light wasn't very happy indeed. You can't excuse this one on the basis of data collection because this isn't your application you are lifting from, especially when we haven't allowed you even to do so. This is straight up spyware shit and it's fucking disgusting. Also, thanks for that weird ass fuck last line. I'm glad to know it's just Tim googling at my private data. This is in response to lots of people accusing Epic Games of having Tencent, one of their major shareholders, basically a Chinese company, have access to everyone's data, when according to Epic that is simply not true. Epic is controlled by Tim Sweeney, the overall company. They have lots of external shareholders, none of whom have access to customer data. Nevertheless, this has long been a running concern and rumour amongst people on PCs that Tencent, this Chinese company, can access their data. It doesn't matter, I guess, if Epic say that's not true, people are still obviously upset about it, and when shit like this happens, when maybe it is a bit of a problem on Epic's part, having this sort of software data or keeping track of people's registry files, you can see why the PC crowd are really getting a little bit upset. But the idea that Epic are spying on people wholesale I think is a little bit far-fetched, and it's just more hyperbole surrounding really hysterical things going on with the hatred against Epic at the moment. Then again, some things might be justified. Phoenix Point, a brand new game by the creators of one of the creators of the XCOM series, basically tried doing an announcement saying that the game was going to be becoming a Epic Games exclusive. As of right now, it's got 5,000 dislikes and only 426 likes. Many people unhappy. Some people really don't want to see a game they supported via Kickstarter come to the Epic Games Store after it was announced it would be coming to Steam. In this announcement though, they do announce they're going to be giving refunds to anyone that requests it. I'll be broaching on this subject a little later on, but clearly there is a big contingent of people that just really don't like change or like the way that Epic is muscling in on the action, and they are very aggressive, it has to be said. But these content plans that they've put up on their Trello board, I think hopefully will show that they're trying to put a good few changes into their systems and really offer what I was talking about, competition for Steam. So Trello board is something that lots of game developers use just to let you guys know when they're going to be implementing things in early access games, etc, etc. It goes without saying that lots of this can change at any one time, but supposedly in the next 3 months they're going to be adding a whole host of features that they've already improved and added since they announced Epic Games Store a few months ago. In the next 1 to 3 months, you're going to be able to search by genre and tag. You're going to have improvements to offline mode, streamlining the skip sign-in experience to enable players to get into their offline games faster, install management under the hood overall, which basically means it'll increase and speed up how much memory it's using. A lot of people are complaining it's taking up too much memory, which is pretty interesting, as when you compare Steam and Epic Games Launcher, it's literally about, I don't know, 170 megabytes more. Not exactly breaking the bank in terms of memory usage. I'm not going to go through that right now. I will debunk some stuff in a while though. They're also going to be going through some of these other features which I won't delve right into. They're pretty self-explanatory. Store page redesign, improved DLC support, cloud saves, which is a big one that people have been asking for, add-on purchase checks, and improved patch sizes. Already they have added the ability to store search. We now get free game notification. Remember, Epic give you a free game every 2 weeks to keep forever. Code redemption improvements, collections and bundles, offline mode functionality. So it is there at the moment. Lots of people wrongly saying that you can't play games offline. Enable preloading is already on the Epic Games Store, and regional pricing was added. Partly, they've got a lot going for it at the moment, but there are still some countries that are having problems seeing exactly the right amounts when it is in their own language. And then in the next 4 to 6 months, as you can see here, we've got user reviews, wish lists, newsfeed and follow improvements, and price adjusting bundles. Now the user reviews is probably the biggest change they've made since they announced the Epic Games Store. Originally they said they weren't going to be doing user reviews. They felt that there was too much toxic review bombing for nothing to do with the actual game itself. But that does look like it's going to be changing. But it'll be down to developers to turn this feature on. So that is interesting. I am maybe not too sure. Steam does have a good feature of that, obviously. Not every game that gets reviewed certainly deserves the idea that it's all just some hate mob. There are plenty of good examples where you go through reviews and you really find someone that seems to be giving you a real good heads up or really good recommendation. Or whether or not it is warning you off a game for real. But of course we do get the full gamut of that, and we have things like this. Broski, I'm just too bad, it's fucking hard, man. He literally played 4 hours of this game, decided it was too hard for him, and so gives it a negative review. Is that really fair? Is that how we should measure games? Thank God it's not just on that one basis, and they do obviously take the aggregate score. But if we take Metro Last Light as an example, when they announced they were going as a store exclusive on Epic Games, they received a whole host of negative and hate reviews. It's gone to mixed now, but that was overwhelmingly negative a couple weeks ago. And that's a real shame, because obviously these games have nothing to do with what they're doing at the moment. Yes, it's a continuation of that trilogy, but these games are pretty old now. So the idea that people can still go back and review something 4 years after the last one came out and give it a negative review just based on politics, I think that is a little bit shit. Steam don't do enough to counter this. They have added more recent reviews, and that was a good signal or good sign. So you can take a look at the overall history and realise that yes, this game was reviewed mostly positively. But there are still many complaints that I have with Steam allowing this sort of thing to go on without any real checks. No one wants censorship, and that is definitely not what I'm saying. I like the idea of reviews. And I certainly trust a whole host of different people's reviews, genuine ones, than I might do of reviewers on IGN site or something like that. But nevertheless, it can be abused when players are really unhappy. And that can be a good thing. We have seen it in some cases where we're really letting a developer know they're doing something really dodgy. But in this instance, particularly with Metro, I really don't think they were doing something that bad. Anyway, we're going to start delving off into a huge debate. Let's just go through these and rattle them off. User reviews will be added. Wish lists, as we said, they're going to be adding additional payment methods, additional currencies, player and playtime tracking, mod support for games, Epic Games overlay, and library improvements. Another big factor people complaining about mod support, they have always said they would allow or enable mod support for games. It's simply a case of opening up the stores or opening up the games so that they can host them, or maybe link them correctly to the Epic Games Store. People forget that also Epic Games Store is one of the biggest modding outlets out there. They make the Unreal Engine that powers so many of your favourite games. Look how many mod editors are out there for games like Ark, Conan Exiles, as well as a bunch of other smaller independent games. So it's not like they're not used to adding these types of components to the storefront. So I think it's going to be pretty good that they're going to be having mod support. And if it feels like I'm coming across as an Epic Games fanboy, I genuinely just think it is good to have a change and good to have a mix-up. I'm not really too interested in people complaining about exclusivity. Yes, I come from a background of having Xbox and PS4, and where you would have to really choose between a console based on what games it would have. And so if you did want to play the exclusive Spider-Man or Gods of War, you'd have to fork out another $400 to pick up a PS4. Whereas in this instance, I really truly believe that just choosing a different app on your PC doesn't legitimately cry out as if it's a real exclusive battle. You may have issues putting your credit card details or ways to pay, and that's fine. But as we've seen there, they are going to be adding more choices, so it looks like they're going to be adding things like PayPal as well. In the long term, they want to add achievements, shopping cart proper, direct carrier billing, and a social overhaul. So I'm presuming this means some sort of like or dislike sort of situation for the games. So this looks like it's just going to be about improving how you interact with your friends lists. And they are going to be working in the future as well on automated refunds, Arabic store translation, Korea game releases, which is pretty interesting. If this is what I think it means and we have access to Korea games, I know a lot of people that would be really happy. Korea games market is absolutely huge. It's one of the biggest in the world. And having access and ability to even more selection of games that can be very hard to get hold of, you have to use third-party software most of the time to download some of these games. I think that's pretty cool. They're also going to be adding gifting and the Android store. Now there's no actual description of what that actually means, but maybe it will be a case of being able to integrate your Android purchases through Epic Games Store and possibly being able to play your Android games on a big screen. Who knows? So yes, good things coming. It may take a while, and definitely that is a criticism that I think is correct. Epic maybe should have got some of this out the door straight away. We do live in a modern age now where game stores have evolved, and so the argument that, you know, they've got to give them time doesn't necessarily hold up as much. But that does point me back to Steam. Steam Store has been running over 15 years, and it took them many years to add certain features. And people seem to forget as well that originally when Steam came out, the only way you could play Half-Life 2 was by downloading Steam. So people crying about exclusivity when Steam did exactly the same thing. Valve made you download Steam so you could play Half-Life. It took them 4 years to add their own rating system, or actually just using the Metacritic system that they imported. It also took them 4 years to add Steam forums to the actual site. Now, they did really benchmark some of this stuff. We have Steam and Valve to thank for many of these features that we take for granted in other game stores or just in general on websites. But nevertheless, it did take some time for them to develop and get the things that the people wanted. It also took them 7 years to get the actual Steam cloud data saving on there as well. Now that again was pretty much more newish technology, but you get the idea. It has taken Steam many years to get ahead of itself. And nowadays when you look at Steam, my biggest issue is the fact that lots of games out there are just malware and just basically absolute garbage. They got rid of their green light system and they placed it with Steam Direct, which pretty much means anyone can put anything on the store and label it a game. As you've seen from a video when I spoke about the game Rape Day recently, where someone tried to get a game passed through the website that basically allowed you to go around raping women in the game. They didn't take it off the stores because they thought it was ad hominem or just, you know, something they really shouldn't have on their platform. The only reason they took the game off or didn't allow it to actually go through was because it presented legal challenges. That was the statement that came from Valve last week over the controversy of Rape Day. I'm all for indie game developers getting their games out there and maybe not having to cost bundles of money to do so. But let's not forget the main reason game developers are choosing the Epic Games Store over Steam. They get a bigger percentage of every single sale. Steam still take 30% of every sale of every game unless you're a mega game company. Where on Epic, in fact, it is only around 12%, even less if you use the actual engine of Unreal to make the game. People really do seem to have a hard time processing this, and I totally get they're really upset when their favourite franchise doesn't necessarily going to be in the place they want it to be. But as I said, it's a simple case of downloading another installer. We do it for games from Origins, we do it for games from Uplay, two of the biggest publishers in the world, EA Games and Ubisoft. So what is one more launcher? I showed you a video yesterday talking about the fact that Borderlands 3 may be an Epic Games exclusive, and many independent games are going that way. And let's go back to that topic of Phoenix Point and what's going on with that situation. Basically, it's crowdfunded and they were promised it would come to Steam, but of course now that's changed a year and a half, 2 years later, and will now appear exclusively on Epic Store. But the idea that big fans that supported a Kickstarter for this game, the only reason they supported it because it was going to be on Steam, is absolute nonsense. The people that have bought this game, the people that have crowdfunded this game, were really passionate about the developers and really liked the influence they had with the original Ofcom, or XCOM I should say. So they will definitely understand because they will be getting their game regardless. I'll probably get a lot of hate for it, but I don't give a shit. Literally, be a console gamer having to keep up with different machines just to play one single game that you really want to play. That's the life of console gaming. You don't have to spend an extra penny on downloading another app. And when these apps, or when these brand new stores like Epic Games and Discord, which is also offering a substantial money back to anyone that buys their game through Discord, when these games developers get more money, it means they can hopefully go and make more games. Ultimately, that's what you want. If they're your favourite game maker and you're so upset they've changed store, how are they going to be able to carry on if they're not always going to be able to get guaranteed money? And that's another thing that Epic are doing. They are buying people off. They recently bought Satisfactory as an early access title. The devs for this were very upfront in the Q&A, saying that they were given some security to make up for the fact they would be losing sales not being on Steam. Likewise, lots of these games I'm sure are in the same situation. There is no guarantee your game is going to be a success no matter what store it's on. So the chances that you can get your game and get some extra money for it and get more money from every game sale, why would you not put your game on the Epic Games Store? It's a different kettle of fish when games developers like Microsoft or Sony are trying to get you just to publish exclusively on their platform. I think that is really anti-consumer. I really don't like exclusives, but it's part and parcel of console generations and computing, and I'm pretty sure there's lots of people out there that would love to play Red Dead on PC but won't get the chance to play that game because it doesn't look like they're going to be adding it anytime soon. Do we see a barrage of hate going towards them? No, we don't. We just see people picking up PS4s or Xboxes to play the damn game. So yes, I have gone on a bit of a rant and I will probably definitely get some dislikes for this. But Steam is not in a great place and hasn't been for a few years. I'm not saying Steam is the worst, but certainly the way that they don't take control over what goes on their store, the way they don't react quick enough if people are just hate bombing a game with not very good legitimate reasons, and not to mention just the sheer amount of shit that is available. It's only recently in the last 2 years they've added refunds reluctantly. They went to court and fought the courts in Australia to stop refunds happening. But because the Australian person that brought it about won his court case in Australia, they had to basically roll it out to a whole plethora of countries, including Europe. Before then, digital games were treated as this Wild West area where you could never get a refund. Now, on PS4 and Xbox, it is still very hard to get a refund and they have some real limitations on it. As do the Epic Games Store, and that needs to be worked on still too. But again, I don't see people crying and crying their eyes out about the fact that PS4 doesn't offer refunds. I got a refund on Xbox this morning because I bought Battlefield 5 and then realised I could get a code cheaper elsewhere. So at least Microsoft are trying to change a little bit and they've had refunds for about a year now. But these are the things that are pro-consumer. When gaming stores like these offer the ability for refund, no questions, no problems, that's the kind of thing that I want to see be improved on, and that would make me give Steam more of a fair shot or think of them as a more positive influence. They really have revolutionised gaming over the last 20 years. Valve have absolutely done bucket loads for people, but they have also done a lot of shitty things too. Not just the refunds issue or the games and the shit that they sell. The loot crate system is awful too. It was Valve that introduced this idea of buying loot boxes or being able to obtain extra marketplace features and items. And this has got heavily abused over the years, with YouTubers being linked to gambling sites and reselling sites selling in-game items for hundreds of dollars. Not to mention the loot crate situation that they are still fighting at the moment. Belgium have just banned this from happening in their country, so EA have had to remove the Ultimate Team FIFA football packs, as well as the Counter-Strike Global Offensive key boxes. And this is a good thing, because this kind of shit is awful for us as consumers. You shouldn't be spending hundreds of dollars for an item or being promoted to go to a third-party seller resite for something that's just in-game. But of course, Valve made money on every single part of this. While they don't have any direct control of third-party websites that were maybe doing a few dodgy things here and there, the simple fact is they introduced this marketplace and it has spread and caused this big snowball effect where it's being abused and abused even more. So I hope that maybe makes people who are just rushing to defend Steam and cry that Epic Games is the devil think a little bit. Go and check the facts out for yourself, and maybe definitely give the Epic Games Trello board a little bit of a look too. What I'm seeing is a games company intent on taking over the world, and that may be a bad thing at some point down the line. But right now it's good for games developers, and right now it's good for people that are using the service. Free games, they're gonna get refunds, and they're adding all the features that a lot of people have been crying about that aren't there at the moment. Anyway, that's just my little bit of opinion and talking about their plans. Agree, disagree, keep it clean, let me know why. And don't just come at me with some of the stuff that is factually not true. Take a look at this roadmap more in detail and give me some genuine concerns you have. There certainly are some regarding security. In the past, Epic Games have not had the best security measures, but every pretty much digital company out there has problems. But every company that sells digital products or has digital storefronts does seem to have these issues from time to time. But anyway, let me know what you think. I am Jade PG. I'll always give you my opinion. Like it, dislike it, let me know. Until next time, Ratbags, I'll see you later.